I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. They had me for a second. I thought I was about to be on here as mad as I'd ever be because the Cavs were down 15 to a Jalen Brunsonless, basically a point guardless New York Knicks team. And look, it's the end of the season. Y'all have had this weird road trip. There's a lot of sloppiness that I'm willing to excuse, but losing to the New York Knicks when they ain't got no point guard off a back-to-back when you've had 3 days rest? No, sir, there was going to be no slack for that one. But luckily, we don't live in that timeline because the Cavs got their act together immediately after halftime and immediately started putting belt to ass to the New York Knicks. So, look, I know people are going to be frustrated because at one point the Cavs were down at 15, but the Cavs ultimately won this game by 19 points over the New York Knicks. They didn't have Ty Jerome. They came out sloppy as hell. The Knicks had an unreal shooting spread to start this game, and it all ended up not mattering at the end here, right? Like, basically, for the Knicks, everything they needed to happen to win this game happened, and they lost by 20. Right? Now, again, Jalen Brunson didn't play. Mitchell Robinson didn't play. Those are two big pieces for New York. And I'm not saying that everything went right for New York, saying that those players played, but for this group, the group that took the floor to win this game, they got everything they needed to try to win this game, and the Cavs just shut it down in the second half. OG had 23. He was going off on the Cavs, unstoppable against the Cavs in the first half of this game. Cat was cooking in the first half of this game. Josh Hart was hooping. You got, 13 off the points from Achua off the bench. We know that they don't have much of a bench, so getting that from Achua, they got 5 from Landry Shamet. Josh Hart was making bullshit threes. Everything was going right for the New York Knicks, and I felt pretty good about the Cavs' chances to win this game because while everything was going right for the New York Knicks, while the Knicks did go on that run and go up 15, the Cavs playing as sloppy as they did, they turned the ball over so many times in this game. They, 14 to 13 turnovers. I think they had 10 of those turnovers in the first half, and that was like a 10-point difference at some point. As sloppy as they played, the Cavs were still able to easily get back in the game almost at will. And that's something I think we got to talk about, right, with the Cavs. It's one thing to go down 15 versus the New York Knicks, but do you have that ability to turn it on when you need to turn it on, right? That's really what you want to see from the Cavs right now. You're going to see some bad minutes in April from any basketball team that you watch. But what stops those bad minutes from leaking into a team's win-loss record is their ability to figure out what points of the game do they need to turn up the intensity. And this Cavs team, I've said it all year, they have a understanding of that, right? First half, they weren't playing great defensively. They weren't really attuned to what they needed to be attuned to, and the New York Knicks coming off a back-to-back, knowing that they would be underestimated by this Cavs team that's blown them out twice, came out with a lot of energy, right? Came out with a lot of heart and played really hard, and that's what a Tom Thibodeau team does, especially in moments where people count them out. He's famous for this kind of thing. And, you got to get the credit for the New York Knicks for coming out and playing really good at the start of this game. But once the Cavs decide to play defense, it was no contest. Right? I think the Cavs outscored the Knicks something like 50 to 20 or something like that, something ridiculous in the second half. And that's my main point here, right? A lot of what we've seen with the Cavs that's been very frustrating is a lack of defensive effort. When the Cavs do not play defense, they are just merely a good team, a really, really good team, but a good team, right? They're not elite when they don't play defense. When the Cavs play the defense that they're capable of playing, they're an elite team. I forget who I was talking to. I think it was either Tony or Abby. It's on one of the shows I did over the weekend. And I brought up this idea of hey, the Cavs are kind of in that LeBron on the Heat phase of their defense. And what I mean by that is when LeBron was on the Cavs didn't have much offensively. So LeBron had to be all-world defensively. Every possession, all-world. And he was all-world defensively. When he went to Miami, the pressure to play defense was a lot less than what it was in Cleveland because he had a lot of players around him that could score. Obviously, there's the whole reason why he went to Miami. So LeBron didn't have to be a defensive demon every possession like he had to be in Cleveland. So you saw what you felt like was the defense fall off in quality because you're looking at his defensive rating. You're seeing some clips of LeBron not really playing great defense in Miami. And, you know, your perception of his defense starts to drop because you're used to him being just this dominant on-ball defender, always on in Cleveland. But then the playoffs come around, and all of a sudden, LeBron is back to defending the way that you need LeBron to defend in order for him to be LeBron James. It's a switch you can turn on and off, right? That's the question with the Cavs. Are their defensive struggles bigger than that? Or is it just simply a team understanding that they're the number one scoring offense in the NBA? They have a historically great offense. I think offensive rating wise, let me double check this. I don't want to give misinformation out. But yeah, the Cavs currently have the best offensive rating of any Cavs team in NBA history. And that is by 6 points. They also have the best relative offensive rating in Cavs history, 7.8. Next highest is 1991-92. Which is at 5.7. That team lost in the conference finals. Let me see who they lost to in the conference finals. The Bulls. Of course, the Bulls. All right. But yes, that's how good they are offensively. So the Cavs understand they don't have to be dominant defensively every game to win in the regular season. They're releasing some pressure so that they have more energy throughout the year and in the playoffs on the defensive side of the ball, selectively on offense. That's on defense, my bad. That's fine, right? That's what good teams do, right? The teams that are usually like the most dominant defensive team you ever see are the teams that really need to play defense. Most of the teams that are really good defensive teams, you'll see their rating drop a little bit during the regular season. They'll come back up. But yeah, that's what I feel like this Cavs team's doing. And when you watch games like today where it's like, okay, they ratcheted up the defensive intensity at the end of each quarter at the beginning of this game. They got the score back within 6. And then in the second half, they ratcheted up defensive intensity and then they blew out the New York Knicks. Now, again, they should have blew out the New York Knicks from the start, but they blew out the New York Knicks. They turned up the defensive intensity and they blew out the Knicks. That is what a veteran team can do. That is what a team that understands where their energy needs to be spent and where their energy needs to be spent understands. And I think that's a big part of what the Cavs were doing. Now, defensively, I thought Evan Mobley had a really strong game defensively. Jared Allen was spectacular everywhere in this game. And look, man, clap it up for Jared Allen. Come on, y'all. Come on. If you just put your hands together if you're at home. Clap it up for Jared Allen. The brother's been hooping. And when I say the brother's been hooping, I don't mean he's been playing rather nice basketball lately. When I say the brother's been hooping, he's been hooping. Hooping. Capital H hooping. He's been hooping. You just go, You put up the stank face when you look at how Jared Allen has been playing recently. This is the garbage man that we know and love. This is the Jared Allen that we know and love, right? He put up 25 against the Clippers and 21 against the New York Knicks and 8 and smacked the out of a Karl Anthony Towns dunk attempt. And if you know anything about me and how I feel about Karl Anthony Towns, you know that I thoroughly enjoyed that. Oh, smiling ear to ear. The sun is here. The joy is in the room. 90% from the field. 10 of 11 from the floor. It's nice to see Jared Allen back, man. This is the Jared Allen. Because look, man, for a little bit during that West Coast trip, right, up until that San Antonio Spurs game, he was looking like garbage, man. But now he's back to being the garbage man. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to see. That's the Jared Allen we need in the playoffs, right? And look, Cat's not a small dude. Jared Allen held up against him defensively really well. I thought, especially like in the interior, Cat got his shit. Cat's good. Cat's going to get his shit going, right? But I thought Jared did a great job of contesting him without fouling. And also, when he needed to go mano-a-mano with him, he won some of those battles. That's all I ask. That's all I ask from Carl. I mean, that's all I ask from Jared Allen, right? Didn't shy away from the physical challenge. And that's the difference between Jared Allen this year and a couple of years ago. There's going to be times where Jared's going to get ran because, he's not that big physically. Or at least for a center. We talking about a man who's 6'9", right? But for a center, he's a little underweight for a center. So when he goes up against Zubac, he gets bullied a little bit, right? All I ask is that you be willing to take the challenge. You don't shy away from the challenge. As long as you don't shy away from the challenge, you're going to do something to annoy that guy, right? You're going to get him in foul trouble. You're going to block a shot. You're going to throw that guy off rhythm, okay? If he gets 20, he gets 20. I don't care, right? If he dunks on you, he dunks on you. I don't care. Well, actually, don't get dunked on. Getting dunked on, it's so bad. You start momentum. Don't get dunked on, but give resistance, right? Obstruct every step of the way for that player, even if he has a physical mismatch on you. You got to do something, right? Got to do something. And sometimes with Jared, there was a feeling, at least a couple of years ago especially, that when those physical challenges hit him, he shied away, right? Didn't even obstruct. Just let it through. Can't let that happen. And that's what I love about his defensive performance today. Didn't let that happen. I thought Evan had a really good rebound. I know it's a weird thing to bring up, but Evan had a really good rebound in this game. Darius was hooping, 8 of 15, 17 points. We know Darius has a deep bag offensively. He's a great playmaker. Darius Garland, really good player for the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell had 27, was hooping really big in the third quarter, I believe, just went off. And that's another thing you want to see, right? As much as we talk about the Cavs needing to play great defense to be the elite team that they are, Donovan Mitchell scoring like that and the Cavs playing great defense, what you going to do about that? Especially if you ain't got your guy in Jalen Brunson to return fire. Cavs got minutes for Imani Bates in this game. So they went from down 15 to winning by 3 Imani Bates minutes. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Imani Bates minutes are rare. But that's my thoughts on this game. I'm glad the Cavs won. They are now 61-15, which ties them for the second best record of Cavaliers history. If they win one more game, they'll be all alone. Number 2, that surpasses, let me double check this, that surpasses the 2009, 2010. Is that the infamous Boston team that lost to Boston? Is that where they lost to? Let me double check. Yeah, that's the Boston series. That is the Boston series that they lost in. That's the first Boston. No, that's the second Boston series. So they caught that one. They are only, if they win 67 games, they'll have the best record in Cavs history. Right now, they're going to have to basically win out in order to get that record. If we're looking at magic numbers for the Cavaliers, let me pull that up as well for y'all so we all have it locked in. The Cavs need 3 wins to lock up the 1 seed. So if they get to 64 wins, they got the 1 seed locked up. All right, let's look at the Cavs schedule. They play San Antonio in San Antonio on Friday. Then they get the Sacramento Kings on Sunday in Cleveland and Chicago. So if they win these next 3 games, they clinch the 1 seed in the East, and then they could do whatever they want with this Indiana and New York 3-piece coming up against them. So going to be interesting to see if the Cavs can finish business, right? Need 3 more wins. I want to see the Cavs in these next 6 games get into a mode where they treat this like the first round of the playoffs almost, right? I want them to run through these next 3 games and lock up this 1 seed, right? Give them some time to manage some minutes at the end of the year. But let's lock up this 1 seed. Let's treat this stretch versus San Antonio and Sacramento and Chicago as a pseudo first round series, right? Where you're trying to get out in a sweep. You got the tough one, the first game against New York, and then you want to get San Antonio, which tough team to beat on the road, but they're not a great team, so you should be able to do that. Then you get Sacramento, who's sneaky, and then you get Chicago. I think Tony Pesta actually calls Sacramento the Chicago Bulls of the West. So you play the Bulls twice. I want them to treat these next 3 games like the playoffs and try to get out the first round in as little games as possible. There's no reason they shouldn't have this 1 seed locked up by the weekend of April 11th. They should not be playing for the 1 seed at New York and Madison Square Garden on TV. They should have the 1 seed locked up before that. So I want to see them treat it like that, right? Treat these next 6 games, these last 6 games like the playoffs. If you want some rest, take care of business right now. So that's what I would like to see from the Cavaliers going forward. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace. Whew. I gotta get a poster of that cat dunk because that shit was